It's not pleasant to sit around and watch this happening. It's not pleasant to see this get blown way out of proportion when there are real stories that should have been covered by these same people that got ignored. I mean, it's an injustice. It's an injustice to journalism. It's an injustice to the field. It is a crime against objectivity. And it proves that you cannot trust 90% of the media. I don't trust any media outlet. I have to cross-confirm everything from different reporters because I can't trust reading it in just one place. Okay, moving right along through these headlines. The Senate filed a procedural vote yesterday to get long-term benefits for the unemployed extended. They failed. They failed to pass the two procedural votes. Republicans are still trying to get Democrats to pay for the benefits rather than put it on the nation's credit card. And the Democrats have come out, they don't want to help the poor and the needy, and they won't just help them out when they need it, because this is benefits for everybody in the economy, and I kind of, it's, when I see Harry Reid, I try to make it funnier by picturing Bill Cosby, but I don't think Bill Cosby would be this bad with money. But the whole idea is that lots of people are unemployed, so we better give them more unemployment benefits. Because the incentive to work, apparently, is a bad thing. That these people would starve in America. And it's really sad, because if you think about it, people in America in the Great Depression, they came a lot closer to starving than anybody is today, really. I mean, you get the occasional homeless, impoverished people in America that do starve, but when you look at this, when you think about this, there are so many charities, food banks, religious groups that prevent people from starving in this country. And then, of course, there is the biggest charity organization of all, a job, that provide great funds for people to buy food and clothing and pay bills. I mean, it's astounding that nobody seems to ever talk about these groups. Like, there's this one group, McDonald's. They will pay you for doing little to no work, and you can use that money to buy food. You could even make the food yourself and get a discount, I think. So, you'll excuse me if I think the Democrats should be slapped every time they mention not wanting to help the poor. And they should be slapped every time they mention a jobs bill, too. But that's a different story. We'll get into that later. I think that the whole unemployment benefits thing is a sham. And I think that it's insane that the Democrats are unwilling to find offset cuts. Like, hey, we're going to spend, $20 billion to $60 billion on these unemployment benefits, but we're not going to find a way to pay for these. We're just going to put them on the nation's credit card because it's right for the country. No. No. If you want to spend this money, you find it in the budget, you pull it, and you spend it from there. I don't think that's too much to ask. If somebody demands that they buy a new car, let's say some spoiled millennial kid, senior in high school, is demanding a brand new car. Well, Mom and Dad, it's good for the economy. But how are you going to pay for it? But Mom, Dad, the car will help me get around, and that's good for efficiency, and it's good for you because you won't have to drive me. But how are you going to pay for it? But Dad, I would look so cool, and I could get so many girls if I had this brand new car. But how are you going to pay for it? But I can't get a job without a car. I've got to have this new car. It'll be more reliable than a used one. But how are you going to pay for it? And that's basically what's happening. We have a bunch of children demanding that we give all of our money to people they say need it, because man's need is greater than his right to have earned it and keep it. Man's need is how we should distribute things, is what the Democrats say. And paying for it, that's inconsequential. We can just print more money and inflate the economy. And it's really a terrible situation. The idea that we have an entire faction, a ruling party, if you will, in this country, that's okay with spending money they haven't earned, with throwing more money into debt, is terrible. It's irresponsible. It's not acceptable in this day and age, with calculators and, pencils and paper to do this basic math. 2 minus 5 is not a good budget, because it leaves you negative. And it's really that simple. It's not that people are not compassionate. It's not that people don't want to help. I mean, sure, there are lots of people that need these unemployment benefits. I would argue that's probably true. I would say that these people would be better suited to get a job, personally, or a second job for that matter. You could work at both McDonald's and Burger King, making $9 an hour. And if you can't get full-time, guess what? You could get 35. Everybody can get 35. Part-time, that's 70 hours a week. You multiply that by minimum wage, that puts you in Texas at $509 every week. $509 a week. That's $2,038 a month. That's $24,500 a year. If you can't manage to do that and pay your bills, you are doing something wrong. You don't need that new television. You don't need internet. You don't need a cell phone. You don't need your own washer dryer. Your apartment's probably too big. Your car, probably too new. Credit card, you don't need that. You've got too much debt. And it goes on and on. I mean, people live on $24,500 easily. And if you're making less than that, you need to get another job. And if, you've got kids or something, you've made another wrong decision in getting pregnant and having a kid, or getting somebody pregnant and having a kid. That was dumb. You shouldn't have done that. All these people complain, well, a family of 4 can't live on that. What the hell are you doing having kids if you work at McDonald's? Don't do that. That's stupid. Oh, well, it's too late now. Well, let's be clear. The government pays these people for having kids and not making a certain amount of money. That's a fact. There's also the quote-unquote earned income tax credits, including children. You also can qualify for health care subsidies and all this other nonsense. Not to mention, if you've got a kid, there should be 2 of you working and paying for stuff. So this $24,000, you could do that with one of you working 35 and the other working 35. Think about that for a minute. 35 hours a week, that's not that much. And you could split the hours to where one person works, when the other person's at home, and vice versa. I mean, it's only, if you work 6 days a week at 35 hours a week, that's, 6 hours. It's a 6-hour workday, 6 days a week. You could do that. You could do that easily. One of you can work 6 a.m. to noon, and the other one can work noon to 6. Congratulations, you've just earned a paycheck that can make your bills. And more importantly, there are some places that pay more than minimum wage. McDonald's here in Waco pays $9 an hour. $9 an hour, $9 an hour for 35 hours a week. That's $315. $1,260 a month. $15,000 a year before taxes. Imagine if you had two people making that. That's $30,240. You can't make it on $30,000. You're doing something wrong. And that's still doing the 6 hours, 6 days a week. 6 hours a day, 6 days a week. So when you look at the actual numbers on how to make it in this country, it's not that bad. And the idea that Democrats are claiming somehow that Republicans are evil for not extending these unemployment benefits. Look, McDonald's and Taco Bell and Wendy's and Burger King, they're hiring. Every town I've been to in Texas in the last 2 or 3 years has been hiring at the fast food restaurants. That's not including the signs I've seen at the industrial places that are hiring. Tyson Food Factory, Mars Candy Factory. How about all the oil companies that have started up in the massive expansions? How about all the contractor companies paying $17 an hour to clean rail cars? How about these oil industry companies that aren't directly in oil that produce polymers and plastics and different oils? How about these companies that test air? How about X-ray companies? There are so many jobs that all you have to do is want to work. All you got to do is want to work. The gas station next to where I work, the clerks make $9 an hour. There's no reason in this world for people to be complaining that they can't make it. This is America. If you can't make it here, you suck. Go to Cuba. Here they got great medical. Stupid. And more importantly than that, even dumber, Obama is unconstitutionally threatening to act on unemployment benefits unilaterally through executive action. Who the hell does he think he is? President of the United States, most powerful man in the world, my foot. You cannot act on something like this without congressional action. You cannot go in and just unilaterally declare law, King Obama. You can't do that. It's illegal. It's unconstitutional. And shame on you for being the moron that threatened to do something you're not allowed to do. This is the worst part about politics, is these politicians come through and they threaten to do things that they cannot do. They don't have the power to do it. It's disgusting. It's despicable, and it's something we shouldn't stand for as American citizens. I know that you can see in the polls, everybody loves the honest politician. Ted Cruz's poll numbers are so high because he's honest. Rand Paul, he's a little lower, but he's also, seems to be a little less of a straight shooter. Chris Christie, the people in New Jersey like him because he doesn't care. Supposedly. He has this persona of being a straight shooter, non-Washington type. Ron Paul, he's incredibly famous and incredibly popular, not just because